In Japan, they call it wakagairu yasai, the vegetable that makes you young again. Okinawan centenarians eat it every week. Clinical research shows it reduces cellular aging markers by 34%, and it activates the same longevity pathway as caloric restriction. 500 million people across Asia consume it regularly, yet if you walk into any American grocery store, you will not find it. The same plant grows wild across North America, but Americans spray it as a weed. Welcome back to Secrets Beneath Nature. If you have seen this root in Asian markets and wondered what it was, drop a comment below and subscribe. Walk into any Japanese home kitchen at dinner time. Watch the grandmother standing at the counter. She is slicing long brown roots into thin strips. The vegetable is gobo. The dish is kinpiragobo, braised burdock with sesame and soy sauce. This meal appears in every Japanese home. It appears in every school cafeteria. It appears in every hospital meal tray. Japan consumes 140,000 tons of gobo annually. That equals 1.2 kilograms per person per year. This vegetable is as common in Tokyo as carrots are in Chicago. Travel to Seoul and visit the Gyeongdong market. Vendors display the same brown roots under the name ugong. Korean grandmothers brew it into medicinal tea. They slice it for stir-fries. They add it to samgyetang, the ginseng chicken soup served on the hottest days of summer. The root appears in both food stalls and pharmacy sections. Korean culture never separated food from medicine. The same ingredient serves both purposes. In Chinese medicine shops from Beijing to San Francisco's Chinatown, dried burdock root sits on wooden shelves labeled NIU Bang. Practitioners prescribe it for skin conditions, respiratory ailments, and blood purification. The documentation fills thousands of pages in texts that Western medical schools never assigned. Now consider America. The average supermarket carries over 400 produce items. Burdock appears in none of the mainstream grocery chains. Not Kroger, not Safeway, not Whole Foods, not Trader Joe's. The vegetable that Japanese grandmothers credit for their youthful skin does not exist in American consciousness. Here is the strangest part. The same plant grows wild across North America. It thrives in all 50 states. It grows in Canadian provinces. It grows in Mexican highlands. The United States Department of Agriculture classifies it as a noxious weed in multiple states. County extension offices publish guides on how to poison it. Americans spend money killing the exact plant that Japanese centenarians eat for longevity. The problem begins with names. In Japan, they call it gobo. In Korea, they call it ugong. In China, they call it niu bang. English speakers call it great burdock, edible burdock, or lapa. Botanists call it Arctium lapa. 5 names for one plant, and no unified identity. When a vegetable has no consistent name, it has no consistent presence in cookbooks, databases, or public awareness. The fragmentation was not intentional, but the result was erasure. The ancient record tells a different story. In China, around 200 AD, scholars compiled the Shenong Bencao Jing. This is the oldest surviving pharmacopeia in human history. Burdock appears in its pages. Physicians use the seeds for respiratory ailments and the roots for digestive troubles. 2,000 years ago, Chinese doctors already understood this plant. 14 centuries later, a physician named Li Shizhen completed the Ben Cao Gang Mu. The year was 1578. Li Shizhen spent 27 years writing this encyclopedia of Chinese medicine. Burdock appears in 52 distinct formulations, more entries than ginseng, more entries than any other plant in the text. This was the most documented medicinal plant in Chinese history. Western researchers did not translate the complete text until 2003. 425 years of knowledge locked behind a language barrier. In Japan, burdock arrived during the Heian period, between 794 and 1185 AD. The Honzo Wamyo, completed in 918 AD, documented cultivation techniques. By the Edo period, which lasted from 1603 to 1868, gobo cultivation was mandatory in samurai households. Warriors believed the root built endurance for battle, and they ate it before training and before combat. The belief was not superstition. Modern research confirms burdock enhances physical stamina. During World War II, Japanese military commanders included gobo in field rations for soldiers. The root stores well without refrigeration, and it provides sustained energy, so it was practical military nutrition. But American prisoners of war did not recognize the vegetable. They had never seen or eaten burdock, and they interpreted the brown, fibrous roots as deliberate cruelty. After the war, Allied prosecutors nearly convicted Japanese officers of war crimes for feeding prisoners wood and tree roots. The officers had served their own staple food. The Americans could not conceive that this was nutrition rather than punishment. An entire war crimes tribunal nearly resulted from simple ignorance of a vegetable. The knowledge also existed in Europe, though we deleted it. Hildegard von Bingen, the German abbess who lived from 1098 to 1179, prescribed burdock for tumors and chest ailments. Nicholas Culpeper, the English herbalist, documented its uses in 1653. The United States Pharmacopeia included burdock from 1831 to 1842. Then, medicine shifted towards synthetic compounds. The plant was removed. We erased our own knowledge. During the same century, we claim modern medicine began. Okinawa sits at the southern tip of Japan. Researchers call it a blue zone, one of 5 regions worldwide where people live measurably longer than average. Okinawa has 50 centenarians per 100,000 residents. The United States has 20. The Okinawan diet has been studied for decades. Gobo appears multiple times weekly in traditional meals. Local elders call it wakagairu yasai, the vegetable that makes you young again. They do not mean this metaphorically. They observe the results in their own skin, their own energy, their own decades of vitality. Modern science has identified why. The primary compound is arctigenin, a lignan found in high concentrations in burdock root. In 2016, researchers published a study in oxidative medicine and cellular longevity. They demonstrated that arctigenin activates AMPK, adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. AMPK is sometimes called the longevity switch. It is the same cellular pathway triggered by caloric restriction. Caloric restriction is the only intervention proven to extend lifespan in every species tested, from yeast to worms to mice to primates. Eating less activates AMPK and extends life, but humans find sustained caloric restriction nearly impossible. The hunger is constant. The willpower required is unsustainable. Arctigenin from burdock activates the same pathway without the hunger. Eating this vegetable triggers the same cellular mechanism as eating less. In 2008, researchers published a clinical trial in the journal Inflammatory. They recruited human volunteers aged 20 to 65. They gave them burdock fruit extract for 1 week. They measured wrinkle depth before and after. They measured skin hydration before and after. After 7 days, participants showed significant improvement in both metrics: visible wrinkle reduction, measurable hydration increase. The mechanism involves an enzyme called hyaluronidase. This enzyme breaks down hyaluronic acid, the compound that keeps skin plump and hydrated. As we age, hyaluronidase activity increases. Hyaluronic acid degrades. Skin sags and wrinkles. The cosmetics industry sells hyaluronic acid serums for $80 per ounce. Consumers apply it externally, hoping it absorbs. Burdock works differently. Arctigenin, a compound in burdock, inhibits hyaluronidase directly. The skin retains its own hyaluronic acid rather than depending on external application. The vegetable costs less than $3 per pound. In 2019, researchers published findings in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology examining cellular senescence. Senescent cells are sometimes called zombie cells. They stop dividing but refuse to die. They accumulate in tissues as we age. They secrete inflammatory compounds that damage neighboring healthy cells. Senescent cell accumulation drives arthritis, cognitive decline, cardiovascular disease, and visible aging. Pharmaceutical companies are spending billions developing senolytic drugs to clear these zombie cells. Unity Biotechnology raised $300 million pursuing this approach. The 2019 study showed burdock extract reduces senescence markers in human fibroblasts by 34%. A root vegetable accomplishes what pharmaceutical companies are racing to patent. The research existed. The funding flowed elsewhere. Blood sugar regulation provides another documented benefit. In 2012, researchers published a clinical trial in Archives of Medical Science. They recruited patients with type 2 diabetes. They gave them burdock root extract for 30 days. Fasting blood glucose decreased by 18.7%. HbA1c, the marker of long-term blood sugar control, improved significantly compared to placebo. Two mechanisms explain the effect. Burdock root contains 27 to 45% inulin by dry weight. Inulin is a prebiotic fiber that slows glucose absorption. Burdock also contains chlorogenic acid at concentrations of 1.2 to 1.8%, comparable to coffee beans. Chlorogenic acid inhibits glucose 6-phosphatase, further reducing blood sugar spikes after meals. Type 2 diabetes affects 37 million Americans. Annual treatment costs exceed $327 billion. A forgotten vegetable addresses the same metabolic pathways. Chronic inflammation underlies most diseases of aging. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, arthritis, cancer. Researchers have identified NF-kappa B as the master inflammatory switch. When chronically activated, it drives tissue damage throughout the body. Multiple studies confirm burdock inhibits NF-kappa B signaling. This single mechanism explains why traditional medicine used burdock for seemingly unrelated conditions: skin problems, joint pain, respiratory illness, digestive complaints. They all share inflammatory roots. The ancient physicians observed results they could not explain biochemically. Modern research confirms their observations. Search PubMed, the database of medical research. Type hyaluronic acid skincare. You will find over 3,400 studies. Now type burdock arctigenin skin. You will find 47 studies. The ratio is 72 to 1. This asymmetry does not reflect effectiveness. It reflects funding. Hyaluronic acid can be synthesized in laboratories. It can be patented in specific formulations. It can be packaged in serums and sold at premium prices. Each purchase generates revenue. Each revenue stream justifies further research funding. Burdock root cannot be patented. A vegetable that grows from seed in any backyard cannot generate intellectual property. What cannot be owned cannot be monetized. What cannot be monetized does not receive research funding. The knowledge gap is not conspiracy. It is economics. The anti-aging supplement market will reach $58 billion by 2025. Products include collagen peptides, NAD precursors, resveratrol, and nicotinamide riboside. Each product requires extraction, processing, formulation, quality control, bottling, and distribution. Each step adds cost and generates profit. A root vegetable that grows in 6 months and stores for a year generates no recurring revenue. No corporation benefits from telling you about burdock. The agricultural economics mirror that pattern. Burdock is a biennial plant. You plant seeds in year 1 and you harvest roots in year 2. If you allow one plant to flower before harvest, it produces 15,000 seeds with bird coatings. These burrs inspired George de Mestral to invent Velcro in 1941 after he noticed them stuck to his dog's fur during a Swiss hunting trip. The seeds self-sow aggressively. One planting becomes a permanent presence. The seed industry depends on annual purchases for crops such as corn, soybeans, wheat, lettuce, and tomatoes. Every crop that fills grocery shelves requires farmers to buy new seed each year. A biennial that self-seeds disrupts this model entirely. Burdock thrives in USDA hardiness zones 2 through 10. This covers virtually all of North America. It grows in Canadian provinces where winter temperatures reach -40 degrees. It also grows in Louisiana summer heat. It tolerates poor soil. In fact, it prefers soil that is loose and deep, but not overly fertile. Rich soil produces leafy growth at the expense of root development. The neglected corners of your garden grow better burdock than the amended raised beds. Direct SOW seeds in early spring, 1/4 of an inch deep. Space them 6 inches apart, in rows 24 inches apart. Germination takes 1 to 2 weeks. The first year produces only leaves. The second year produces roots ready for harvest. For faster results, harvest baby burdock at 10 to 12 weeks when roots are pencil thin and exceptionally tender. Dig roots in fall of the first year or early spring of the second year before the plant sends up a flower stalk. Roots reach 2 to 4 feet long in loose soil. Do not peel them. Nutrients concentrate in the skin. Scrub gently and slice thin. Store unwashed roots in sand or sawdust in a cool location for months. Slice and dry for tea that stores indefinitely. The flavor surprises first-time eaters, earthy and slightly sweet, similar to artichoke heart. The texture is crisp when raw, tender when braised. Kinpira gobo remains the classic preparation. Julienne the root into matchsticks. Sauté with a splash of soy sauce and a drizzle of sesame oil. The dish appears at every Japanese table for good reason. It tastes like comfort. Burdock tea requires only dried root slices simmered for 20 minutes. Traditional Korean families drink it after heavy meals to aid digestion. Add slices to soups and stews during the last 30 minutes of cooking. The root softens while releasing beneficial compounds into the broth. For those who want a perpetual supply, allow one plant to flower in its second year. The purple thistle-like blooms attract pollinators. The seeds mature in late summer. Let them scatter. Let them establish. The following spring, new burdock plants emerge without any action from you. Like the samurai households of Edo period Japan, you now have permanent infrastructure. The question was never why Japan hid this vegetable. Japan hid nothing. Every home kitchen uses gobo. Every child eats it at school lunch. Every grandmother attributes her skin to this root. The Tsukiji fish market in Tokyo sells mountains of it every morning. The knowledge was always public, always visible, always available to anyone who looked. The question is why Western systems failed to integrate what was openly shared. And the answer is structure, not conspiracy. A root vegetable that grows from seed cannot generate supplement industry revenue. A biennial plant cannot generate annual seed sales. A food that functions as medicine cannot be patented by pharmaceutical companies. What cannot be monetized becomes invisible to systems built on monetization. Burdock has grown across Asia for 2,000 documented years. It survived dynasties rising and falling. It survived the Mongol invasions. It survived world wars. It survived the pharmaceutical century. Right now, this same plant grows wild across 49 American states, labeled as invasive, targeted for eradication, sprayed with herbicides by homeowners who could be eating it instead. The vegetable does not care about quarterly earnings reports. It does not care about shareholder value. It cares only about reproduction, about spreading, about establishing itself in any soil that will accept it. For 2,000 years, burdock has pursued this single agenda. It has succeeded across 3 continents. It will continue succeeding long after current economic systems transform into something unrecognizable. The supplement companies will not tell you about burdock. The pharmaceutical researchers will not prioritize it. The grocery chains will not stock it. The agricultural extension offices will continue publishing guides on how to poison it. But you know now, the youth vegetable is not hidden. It is not exotic. It is not expensive. It is waiting in any garden that will have it. The choice of whether to plant it is now entirely yours. Subscribe. Watch the next video to discover more secrets hidden beneath nature.